Yes, it is Friday, and I hope you are all doing well as the month of October is here. And even though the first week's almost done, this is the month for us horror fans. It is our Christmas time where we get a plethora. You know what a plethora is, right?
A plethora. Oh, yes. You have a plethora. Jefe, what is a plethora? Why, guapo? Well, you told me I have a plethora. And I just would like to know if you know what a plethora is. I would not like to think that a person would tell someone he has a plethora and find out that that person has no idea what it means to have a plethora. Forgive me, El Guapo. I know that I, Jefe, do not have your superior intellect and education.
Of horror films. And while we look at the new ones, yes, we look back at the classics as many people do the 31 days of October. And I did that was well, kind of a quick mention of one I was watching the other night as part of my movies to watch in October. Now, if you don't know me by now, I am a massive fan of the Halloween franchise, except for the last three. They could go themselves. You could go back when we did a review on those just to show how I really feel about those films. But the one we're going to talk about is an interesting one because, unlike the trilogy, the 2007 Rob Zombie Halloween film is kind of a divisive one, too. So let's look at the cast of the 2007 Rob Zombie film. Dig Farge as young Michael Myers, Tyler Main as the Shape, Michael Myers, Scout Taylor Compton as Laurie Strode, Sherry Moon Zombie as Deborah Myers, Malcolm McDowell as Samuel Loomis, and the great and beautiful Danielle Harris as Annie Brackett. Now, before I continue, let's also look at the legends who were also a part of this film. You have William Forsythe as Ronnie White, Danny Trejo as Ismael Cruz, Brad Dourif as Sheriff Lee Brackett, Clint Howard as Dr. Coppleson, Dee Wallace as Cynthia Strode, Ken Forey as Big Joe Grizzly, Bill Mosley as Zach Z-Man Garrett, and the late, great Sig Haig as Chester. Now, whenever somebody wants to make a remake of a classic film, you want to separate yourself from the original. You don't want to go exactly how the original went because all you're basically doing is copying the first film. Where I give Rob Zombie credit is he took a different approach to this film. Just like when you watch the remake or continuation of The Evil Dead, come on, your character was amazing. But the fact that that film took a different approach, even though you had some, little Easter eggs from the original, but it took a different approach. So did this film. You always wonder what made Michael Myers snap. What exactly was the driving force to cause him to do what he did? Now, this is where I enjoyed this portion of the film because Rob Zombie gave us a young Michael Myers and the day or days leading up to when he snaps. Now, if you guys watch the film, you cannot tell me that you felt a lot of sympathy towards this kid. Now, granted, there are a lot of red flags that Deborah Myers ignored when it came to Michael. But the scene when he beat the crap out of the bully and then proceeded to go home like nothing happened and wanted to go trick or treating, and then the treatment he got from Ronnie and his sister because he wanted to go trick or treating in. Let's be honest, what kid didn't want to go trick or treating? But the events that led up to that night and the fact that he methodically killed Ronnie first, then the boyfriend, and then brutally assaulted his sister. This was a great way to show the build up to the Michael Myers character. Now, when he gets locked up, we meet Ismael Cruz, played by Danny Trejo, and we get a guy who's trying to befriend this kid, which I thought was another great element in this film because when you watch the original, you watch Michael commit the murder in the beginning, then Michael basically escaping. We missed that gap in the middle. This film filled that gap that we didn't see in the original, which I think by filling that gap, they brought a different approach to the film. However, where I do kind of knock it a little bit is I wish we had more time in that gap. Spread it out a little bit more because we know eventually Michael Myers is going to escape. We know eventually he's going to go on a killing spree, which, let's be honest, some of the kills are brutal. If I have a knock on some of these points where we're seeing the kills is shaking that camera with the music score kind of threw me off a little bit. Didn't really like it too much, but the kills were actually pretty good in this film. And the way he approached it, especially when we kind of relived that scene where he puts a sheet over his head and he's basically annoying the crap out of the girl he's about to kill. But I like the fact that we did get that aspect. And when we see young Michael in the hospital, he has no recollection of what he did. It's like it's completely shut down. And I thought this was something that could have been explored a little bit more because he wanted to go home. He asked about how's everybody at home. And the fact that he had no recollection, he blacked it out, continued to show the evil that's lying within. Also, there was a great line in this film told by Dr. Loomis after he decided to not treat Michael anymore. So, because the quote was a little long, I'm not going to be able to memorize the whole thing. Let me read to you exactly what the quote was. His eyes will deceive you. They will destroy you. They will take from you your innocence, your pride, and eventually your soul. These eyes do not see what you and I see. Behind these eyes, one finds only blackness, the absence of light. These are the eyes of a psychopath. What a great line to describe Michael Myers. And this happened after the scene where he attacked the nurse as his mom is visiting because he wanted to go home. And at this point, it's already leading up to the complete shutdown and silence that Michael Myers has from the time he's in the hospital till, well, he never talks again. Now, as far as the Michael Myers character goes, Tyler Mane did a good job playing the character. He was strong. He was very, very threatening, and his movements were actually very well done in this film. Now, I like the fact that you bring in, you have to have Loomis in. Malcolm McDowell did a good job playing Loomis. The cast of this film was very good, and the fact that they kind of kept intact him coming after his sister. Now, this is one thing where nobody really talked about in the original, is we knew he killed one of his sisters. We never got to see Lori. And in this film, we see Lori as a baby and how Michael was attached to her, which kind of makes you wonder what was the driving force that made him want to come out and kill her. Which, I'll be honest, I still like the vagueness of it because not knowing actually makes the film better, whether it's the original or this one. But that aspect of the film I liked, and I'm kind of glad they kept that intact. Now, as far as how the movie played out, like I said, I liked how he escaped. Who didn't feel bad for Ismael Cruz? He said, Mikey, I treated you good, and Michael Myers basically brutalized him. Tried to drown him, and then ended with a TV right over his head. The kills in here were very good and very brutal. When he ripped the woman's larynx out and she's like bleeding, and then he's dragging her body. Very well done. This is what Michael Myers is. Michael Myers is a brutal killer. And the fact that some of the kills, he does a thing where he stands over him. This film is actually very well done. Now, I did not like the sequel to it. I'll be honest. The sequel, there was no need for it. This is where Rob Zombie said just had a one and done. Because just like the trilogy, the films got worse as they went. I'm not knocking Rob Zombie because, like I said, he took a chance and opportunity to change things and do a different approach to it. And the fact that we saw a young Michael, I think, was a great part of this film. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of slack because I know personally a lot of people who don't like this film. But like I always said, if you go a different approach in this film and you make it more interesting, you add more elements to it. The young Michael Myers elements was very well done in this film, and I'm glad that Rob Zombie chose to do this route. Now, the cast in this film, as I said earlier, was a massive cast, and each one did very well in the roles that they had in this film. There's not one character I knock. I think they were portrayed their characters very well. Come on, who doesn't love Dee Wallace and Bill Moseley and Sid Haig? I mean, these are Rob Zombie alums, but what they did was actually bring in Danielle Harris to a Halloween film. Unlike the new trilogy that totally didn't bring her in when they should have. And well, I don't want to get into it because I'm gonna start getting heated. And it's Friday. I want to relax. I want to have a good time, and I do want to watch some horror tonight without feeling anger by that fucking trilogy. But besides that, what I'm gonna tell you is yes, give this movie a chance. Rewatch it. I actually rewatched it the other night and watched it one more time before I sat down and do this review. But I'm gonna give this film 3.5. No, you know what? A 4 out of 5. The reason I'm going to give it the extra half point is because it was a different approach to the Michael Myers franchise. They didn't go and rewrite the whole thing and totally ignore that Laurie Strode was his sister. But they took a different approach. They gave us the gap that was missing in the original Halloween from when Michael went to, committed the murder till Michael escaped. And the fact that they gave us that gap, I appreciate it. And I liked the fact that we were given that. And come on, I told you, I'm a fan of Michael Myers. And this film was different, which I appreciate. And I like the fact that they took the different route. I'm going to keep saying it. They took a different route. And they didn't have to wipe out the franchise. I'm going to keep taking shots. But yes, Halloween 2007, Rob Zombie. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Very creative, very well done. The fact that they gave us the kid, Michael Myers, I love, I appreciate it. And I know I'm going to get some hate for this, but I want to hear you. Why do you not like this film? Leave the comments below. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Watch horror. It's October. Go back. Watch Halloween 2007. Let me know what you think of it. Yes, this is GR. It is Friday. Enjoy your weekend, even though it's going to rain up here. Once again, shout out to Ricky Grimes. Happy birthday. Was yesterday. Continue to celebrate it. And like he says, you know what? I can't say his line because that's Rick. But this is GR Horror Fiend TV, the Fiend Zone. Peace.